practice workshop. Today we are going to do a very simple exercise. It is about reharmonization, more specifically dominant reharmonization. For example, if you play a C triad, C, E, G. C is a chord tone or note. E is a chord tone, and G is also a chord note. But D is not. So D between C and E is an approach note. Okay, so it's a scale tone, a scale note in the key of C major. So we know there are different ways to reharmonize on the approach notes, either a passing note, or a chromatic note, or a scale note. A scale note usually is considered a passing tone, a passing note. So today specifically we're going to reharmonize on the note D between C and E. Okay, if we play single notes, C, C, D, E. Okay, so on each note, on each of those three notes that I just played, we can create a chord. Okay, so but the chord, any chord built on the chord tones, those are called target chords, target notes, target chords built on target notes. Why we call them target notes and chords is because the approach notes and chords will resolve on those target notes and chords. So it's easy. It's fairly easy to harmonize on the chord tones, on the chord notes, but sometimes it takes a little thinking, it takes more work to reharmonize on the approach notes. And remember, the approach notes can be chromatic notes, passing notes, scale tones, and so on. So now the exercise we are going to do is to harmonize on C. We're going to harmonize or reharmonize on C, chord tone, and on D, which is a scale tone, because it's not a chord tone, and then on E, which is also a chord tone. But 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 specifically, we're going to do dominant reharmonization. Okay. So to do a dominant reharmonization is going to be on the we're going to do a dominant reharmonization on the approach note on the scale note, which is D. Okay. In in order to do that, the approach note, okay, which is D, must be voiced with a dominant chord, either a pure dominant chord or an altered dominant chord. Okay, D. So we know on D we're gonna play on D, which is the approach note that is going to resolve on the target note C. Is going to be a dominant type chord. It can be just a simple in a dominant seventh chord or an altered chord. So what we do, so on the C, we can play C major seventh, we can play C major six, C major 6/9, whatever you want to do. And then now from C, and then a whole step above C, we're gonna on D, we're gonna play a dominant type chord. But what we need to remember, the D, okay, must be a chord tone, okay, of the dominant seventh of the dominant chord we are going to build on it. Okay. So, okay, let me repeat that. The approach note D, on which we're going to build a dominant type chord, must be a chord tone, or one of its one of its one of its extensions of the dominant chord we're going to build on it. Okay. So let's try that. So let's play a chord on the root, on the chord tone C. We can play C major 6, for example. Okay, there you go. That's C major 6, okay? Okay, so if you want to push it, you can play C major 6/9. Okay, now remember the melody was C, D, E. So you want to play a chord on each note, okay? But the note that is going to be on D is going to be a dominant type chord, because we are doing dominant reharmonization, and then the target of the dominant chord is the chord is a chord is going to be C, okay, which is um, a regular chord tone, okay, which is the chord build on the chord tone. That's what I'm trying to convey to you. So okay. That's C major 6, C major 6/9. Now on D we're gonna play G, okay, G dominant 7 flat 9, which is the dominant chord in the key of C major, and then we're going to resolve on the target chord C major 6. Okay, here's the dominant reharmonization on the note D, which must be a chord note in the G dominant type chord. So okay, this is the chord built on D, on the note D. Okay. This chord is G dominant 7 flat 9. Okay, this is the passing chord. Okay, built on the scale note D. And then resolving on the target chord C major 6, C major 6. So basically, on each C, D, E, on each note, on each of those three notes, you play a chord. But you move from C, and then you play dominant type chord on D, and then you resolve back to C. Basically, it's a 1-5-1 cadence. Okay, so here you go. Let's do that again. Okay, right. Now, one way you can practice is just use some kind of backing, and then just play around with that simple progression. Okay, where you do dominant reharmonization. Okay, so let's let me put a little back up here, a little backing. Okay, so let's see, and then we can try to create something. Just play. Let's see here. Okay, here we go.